What's up guys, JV2017 here, and I'm bringing you a new Fallout 4 tips and tricks video. And today I'm continuing my companion guide series with Strong, who is kind of the friendly super mutant companion of the game. I mean, he's friendly to the sole survivor, maybe not to everyone else. And originally I thought, hey, this is the Fox of Fallout 4. You know, if you didn't play Fallout 3, there was a friendly super mutant named Fox, and a few more, I believe, in the DLC in New Vegas. Strong is a lot less tame and is more of what you would expect from a super mutant companion. So in this video, we'll discuss how to get Strong, what his special stats are, how to boost and max out his affinity, as well as the effectiveness of his affinity companion perk. Before we begin, let's go over some brief background info on Strong. Before the player meets this companion, there's not much to know about his history, honestly. I think we can assume that Strong was rolling with the group of super mutants that occupy Trinity Tower, which is led by Fist. It's kind of the main super mutant there. And as you'll learn in the quest to free and possibly recruit him, Strong was influenced by a man named Rex Goodman, who traveled to Trinity Tower to try and teach the super mutants Shakespeare and Macbeth in an attempt to make them less violent in order to kind of civilize them. Clearly that didn't really work. With one exception, it did work on Strong, and so that's why Strong and Rex are both locked at the top of Trinity Tower. And so that brings us to the location of Rex. He is locked at the top of Trinity Tower, and also he is on the quest Curtain Call. That's kind of the related quest to this, and this can be triggered by visiting the WRVR broadcast station location, where people there actually ask you to find Rex Goodman because he is missing, but you can actually go straight to Trinity and complete the quest anyway and recruit Strong. So you don't have to go to that broadcast station, you can go straight to Trinity Tower, which is kind of in the general Boston, downtown area. The special stats for Strong are 24 strength, which is insane, off the charts, crazy, but it makes sense, 12 perception, 8 endurance, 1 charisma, 6 intelligence, 18 agility, and then finally 1 luck for 70 total points. This is a very high total point number. That's the second highest value of any companion you're going to find in the game. As I've mentioned throughout this companion guide series, I don't believe a lot of these stats actually matter for our companions. They're just nice to know. However, with Strong, I do believe that strength matters. I mean, he hits way harder melee-wise than any other companion you're going to have with you, so strength has to play a factor into that. However, it doesn't really play a factor into carrying weight because his carry weight is 200. And so obviously, I think it's just artificially increased because a super mutant should carry more. Strength does not influence the carry weight of any other companion. It's just that Strong has 50 more carrying weight, which is just way higher, 33% more than any other companion, except for Dance. That's another exception. So he's obviously great at carrying stuff and great at hitting stuff. I just don't think that strength directly influences that all the time. And then also, you would think his endurance would be a lot higher, right? Strong is a super mutant. He should be able to take more of a beating. He's only got 8 endurance, and so maybe he can take more hits than the typical companion because he is a super mutant. That may be kind of an artificial, thing that they put into the game, but it's not explicitly told to us. You can't really monitor your companion's health. There's no health bar in the game. And something else to note is that companions level up with you. So as you go from level 1 to 5, all of your companions are going to go to from level 1 to 5. Their health is going to increase, just like yours would, but it's just at a different value. And I'm not sure if you're comparing companions that Strong is much higher than anyone else. Also, Strong is immune to radiation. I think that should be pretty obvious. He's a super mutant, so radiation damage can't affect him, but he still can be poisoned, so you'll need to watch out for that, when you're fighting sting wings or other things that can poison your companions. Now let's talk about companion affinity, which is this game's version of companion loyalty. What are you doing in the game to, sway the favor of your companion? Is your companion going to like you? Is he not going to like you? Strong will react to your actions, choices, and dialogue throughout the game. And there's an invisible bar out of 1,000. You kind of have to imagine it in your head because you can't actually track it. But essentially, you want to make sure that bar goes to the very top of 1,000 points to achieve maximum affinity, which will give you Strong's companion perk. And unfortunately, you cannot romance Strong. I know a lot of people are disappointed about that. There's no super mutant romance going on in this game. Fortunately, we kind of know what Strong likes and dislikes, and so there is kind of a pattern that we can observe, and you can actually use that to your advantage in order to, boost his affinity up. So first we'll start with the general affinity, which is kind of his dispositions towards certain things that you'll do in the world. So he likes when the player is generous, peaceful, or violent, which is kind of an odd mix there. He's kind of like Fox from Fallout 3. You know, he likes it when you're peaceful, kind of like a good super mutant, but on the other hand, he still likes it when you're violent, when you kill people, and so he enjoys that. He does not like when the player is selfish or mean. So if you're helping people out, he will like it. If you refuse to help people out, he won't like it, and he doesn't like it when you're mean either. And I think his general affinity is really a reflection of the quest that you actually get him in. I mean, obviously, he is generous and peaceful to Rex Goodman, you know, who comes and tries to teach, you know, the super mutants about Shakespeare. You know, he didn't automatically attack him, so I guess, you know, he wasn't really violent in that sense, but he wasn't mean. He was peaceful to Rex. He wanted to see what Rex was about before, you know, attacking him, and in fact, he liked Rex. He liked learning about Shakespeare, and he constantly talks about the milk of human kindness constantly. If you have Strong with you, you know what I'm talking about. And so I think that kind of reflects his attitude and behavior. Now we're moving into what's called more specific affinity. So these are more specific actions that you can actually take in the world, and Strong will react in these ways. So Strong likes it when the player eats corpses or murders non-hostiles. Now believe it or not, Strong is the only companion that likes it when you eat corpses. So if you take the cannibal perk and you use it often, bring Strong with you, that'll boost you up really quickly. We're going to talk about boosting affinity, but that's definitely one of the methods. He also likes it when you murder non-hostiles, but you got to kind of be careful here. He still is generous and, you know, peaceful, but he also still likes it when you're murdering non-hostiles. That's kind of a specific thing. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second here. He dislikes it when the player enters power armor, enters vertibirds, heals dog meat, picks locks, or persuades people, you know, through speech and charisma for more caps. So kind of what you can garner from this is that if you're going to go with Strong, if you want Strong with you, and you want to pick the Brotherhood of Steel, you're going to have a bad time, because once you join the Brotherhood of Steel, you actually just lose a ton of respect from Strong. He hates it, but you can gain it back by doing other things later in the game. He kind of forgives you, which is interesting. But like entering power armor, entering a vertibird, that's something you're going to do a lot with the BOS, and so you probably don't want to bring Strong with you if your plan is to increase his affinity. Speaking of which, let's talk about boosting affinity, and this is really tough. In every one of my guides, I've pretty much had a clear-cut way for you to boost affinity. Strong is different. It doesn't seem like there's one clear-cut way that's easy, that is accessible to most people in order to boost his affinity. Of course, if you take Cannibal and eat a bunch of corpses, you're going to boost his affinity very quickly, and you'll be able to get his companion perk at maximum affinity. That's just fact. I mean, that just makes sense. Some other methods I have read, though, are to help the Minutemen. So again, Strong likes it when you're generous. So going around and doing all of the, get this settlement, help these people, defend from raiders, Strong will like those actions. You'll see in the top left that Strong liked that. And so you can repeat those actions over and over and over, since the Minutemen are pretty much a lot of Radiant quests, or at least the side quests for the Minutemen are, and boosts his affinity that way. But I don't have a clear-cut answer for you guys on this, unfortunately. You could go around murdering non-hostiles. I mean, a lot of people have been saying, JV, you need to play through the game and kill everyone. I don't know about that. That's not something that sounds fun to me, but if you guys are good with killing people, just randomly, indiscriminately, then, that might please Strong as well. One way or another, once you've reached the maximum affinity for Strong, you will receive Berserk, which is his companion perk, and essentially gives you plus 20% more melee damage when you're below 25% health. Honestly, guys, I don't think this is worth it. I don't think this is a good perk. It's already hard enough to get his affinity up in the first place, and it's only helpful, one, if you're running a melee build. Obviously, you're not going to be using melee weapons unless you're running a melee build. At least that's how I play the game. You guys might, use your gun and use your melee weapon and kind of interchange those. I don't. I either run a strict melee build or a strict range build. That's just kind of how I play the game. So in my eyes, this is totally not helpful, if you're playing the game like that. And also, it only goes into effect when you're below 25% health, excuse me. So, it's a very specific situation. If you're low on health and you're running a melee character, it's like there's too many prerequisites and it's too specific for this to actually kick in and be helpful for your character. And so I'm just not a big fan of perks that have that kind of gate requirement of, this percentage of health. That's not a big, attraction point for me for a companion. So to wrap up that idea, in my opinion, I just don't think it's worth it to go out of your way to go get Cannibal in order to, boost his affinity. It just doesn't make sense to me to get this perk. Even with a melee character, there are better options in my opinion. So some additional notes I have about Strong to share with you guys. Number one, he doesn't have a companion quest. So some of the companions have specific companion quests that'll do something for that companion or change their disposition. Strong doesn't have that, so you don't have to worry about that. And also, people ask me about gearing up companions with weapons and armor. The fact is, if you give Strong a weapon, at least a ranged weapon, he will need ammo. And Strong by default comes with a melee weapon, and so he's not really a ranged character. He's kind of built and designed to be a melee-based companion. So honestly, I wouldn't touch it. You could give him a super sledge if you found one. Giving him a super sledge is probably a good idea if you're not going to use it, with your character specifically. For armor, it's definitely a good idea to armor up, Strong, to give him armor, some extra damage resistance so he can last longer while you're in combat. However, he has to wear specific super mutant type armor, and there's too many, pieces to list in this video, so I left a list of armor for super mutants specifically that Strong can wear in the description below. So I recommend that you guys, if you're interested in that, check the description below for that list of about 30 items that Strong can equip. That's all I have to share with you all about Strong, so I'd like to know after watching this video, are you going to go get Strong? Is he an attractive companion for you? Not, like the way he looks, but in combat, is this someone you want on your side? Will you go and get his companion perk? Will you invest the time and maybe even perks in order to boost it up? Honestly, I don't think it's worth it. I'm not sure that Strong is very high on my totem pole of ranking companions because he is very specific. It doesn't make sense to go out and get his companion perk, in my opinion, even if you're a melee character, because Strong is a melee character. I mean, maybe it's fun to have two melee, your companion is a melee character and you are playing a melee character, kind of going down and beating down everyone in the Commonwealth, but I like to mix and match things, Strong, in my opinion, would be more suited, for my play style if I was playing a ranged character. He goes up and hits enemies while I shoot them from afar. That's kind of the way I like to play the game and approach it, but I'd like to know what you guys think, how you would rate Strong, against other companions in the comments section below. Alright guys, today I shared everything you need to know about Strong in Fallout 4, and next time we will cover more Fallout on my channel, so stay tuned for Fallout 4 tips and tricks videos. If you learned something new, remember to hit that like button, I would really appreciate it, and don't forget to subscribe for more unique weapon guides, build guides, and general tips and tricks videos. Talk to you guys next time. Peace.